So we're going to jump back into the final parts of the testimony for Richard Morgan KC to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and his question on Gareth Jenkins and why he characterised his evidence as opinion rather than expert fact. And they clearly wanted him to mention that he had the official job title of Distinguished Engineer. Once we go on to core participants, Sam Stein asks about a meeting that he vaguely remembers, or maybe not, between Christaband at Linklaters and Paula Vennells, the then CEO of the Post Office, but then kind of strangely says that he included it for a full picture, but that he may have just been daydreaming, and he might have just remembered seeing her on TV. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Lastly, can I ask you some questions on a discrete topic, namely the treatment of Anne Chambers and Mr. Jenkins? Please, can we look at poll 307-1438? This is an attendance note made by Mr. Dilly in respect of a conversation with you on the 11th of August 2006, and it concerns the draft witness statements of Anne Chambers and Gareth Jenkins. If you just read the first couple of paragraphs to orientate yourself.
I'm just noticing there, it turns around and says, in Gareth Jenkins' statement, we firstly need to say that he holds the position with the job title of Distinguished Engineer. I just thought that was some boasting in his email signature. In his email signature. Surely they didn't create a job title of Distinguished Engineer. I didn't realise that was an actual job title they did. Software Engineer. Distinguished Engineer. The mind boggles about what was going through people's minds at the time.
And then look at the third paragraph. In relation to Gareth Jenkins' statement, we need to firstly say he holds a position with the job title of a Distinguished Engineer. It might be that we decide to put all the information he is saying into the expert's report, given it's really opinion evidence. Mm-hmm. So you've been provided with these two draft witness statements from Fujitsu employees. The advice that you're recorded as having given there, would that reflect your view that to the extent that Mr. Jenkins' witness statement contained opinion evidence, that couldn't be given by him, it had to be given by an independent expert?
If it was truly opinion evidence, yes.
Well, I'm guessing if he said it was opinion evidence, he at least thought it was at the time.
And why would opinion evidence have to be given by an independent expert rather than Mr. Jenkins?
Well, technically, anybody can give any evidence they want in a civil trial, but ordinarily it would be excluded if it was opinion evidence, unless it was given by an expert who is able to give an independent expert view.
And why couldn't Mr. Jenkins give an expert view?
Because he's not an independent expert.
But nevertheless, he is kind of an expert in the system, so granted it might not carry as much weight as an independent expert, but surely he would qualify of being an expert in the Horizon system, even if one that is potentially open to bias, so presumably that evidence would be able to be characterised not as opinion evidence, but as expert evidence nonetheless, notwithstanding the fact that it's not independent of Fujitsu who made the system and there could be some other motives at play there.
The decision was taken in the event not to call Mr. Jenkins. Did you hold a view on whether Anne Chambers was giving, according to her draft statement, opinion evidence or evidence of fact?
At this distance in time, I can't even remember what she was saying.
Thank you very much. I understand.
Thank you.
So those are the only questions that I ask. I understand that there are two core participants who wish to ask questions. First, Mr. Stein.
Right.
Mr. Morgan, my name is Sam Stein. I ask questions on behalf of a very large group of subpostmasters and mistresses. Can I take you within your statement, please, to page 30? And if we can have that on the screen, please. I'll refer to page 30 of Mr. Morgan's statement, paragraph E to start off with. Thank you. Mr. Morgan, you've been asked some questions about this part of your statement, which is in reference to the 12th of June of 2012, where you had a short consultation and you refer to it there as being the matter is simply entitled Post Office.
Yes.
And you've been asked some questions about that. So moving on from 2012 to 20th of March 2014. Now, at this point in your statement, you say this, that you were contacted by Linklaters to advise Post Office Limited and your records are showing 3 short telecons, and you think, although you might be mistaken, that you also had a short in-person consultation with Krista Band of Linklaters and Paula Vennells of Pole. At that time, Paula Vennells of Pole was the Chief Executive Officer. Is that right?
Part of my difficulty with this is that I'm not sure that this is a true memory.
Well, why would you put it in your witness statement if you're not sure it was true? Or why wouldn't you caveat it a lot more than has been done in the statement by saying, actually, I don't really remember? But anyway, nevertheless, we do know Paula Vennells was Chief Executive of the Post Office from 2012 to 2019, so Sam Stein is right to state that.
I mean, what I've tried to do is I've tried to give as full and accurate an account as I can, but then say, I actually don't think this is a true memory. The problem is I've seen Paula Vennells on TV, and I feel that I was meant to meet her, but I just can't find any record of actually meeting her. And I'm sure, given the way my clerks like to make sure that everything is recorded, that if there had been a meeting, I would have had it in there. But since I had some sort of feeling about it, I thought I should describe it.
That does seem a little bit strange. So if we just try and break that down a bit, I feel like my clerks would have noted if I had a meeting, but I kind of vaguely remember it, but those memories might have been from seeing her on TV. It's curious. I think that's the first time we've heard that kind of justification for something that's going into a witness statement.
Right, well, let's see what you were able to get to. Your statement does say that you also had a short in-person consultation with Krista Band and Paula Vennells, which appears to be a bit more than a vague daydream of a meeting, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. What I've said is that I think, although I might well be mistaken, that I also had a short in-person consultation.
Okay.
And then what I'd also say is, but I've got no record of it. I've got no record of a room booking. I've got no record of a fee line. I would have made a fee line for it if I'd met somebody and given them advice.
Okay. Let's just move on to the remaining bits of F. You have it at page 30. You go on to say, and you're emphasising really, that you don't have a great recollection of this. You say, I have no specific recollection of what was happening. Beyond thinking that I was asked, what could Pole do about any arguments being raised in relation to the accuracy of the Horizon system, to which your answer was that they should follow the advice you had given in 2007 and keep a physical paper trail of accounts signed by the sub-postmaster. And then you go on to talk about the fact, jumping then a little bit, I should emphasise that this memory of a meeting and the identity of the participants may be a false memory, possibly something I've reconstructed, having been told there would have been or would be a meeting. Okay?
Yes.
And you again emphasise after that, I'm not really sure that a physical meeting ever took place. Again, a reference to the fee line. So
yes.
What we do know is this, as far as we can tell, that there's some contact to you in 2014, March of 2014, and as best as you're able to, this was a meeting that wasn't terribly memorable, because you're saying, well, best I can do is that if they want anything from me, they should look back at my earlier advice in 2007.
Can I try and give the evidence?
Any way you like.
So it's something I keep on going over in my mind as to whether it took place or not. The phone calls definitely did take place. I think the first was, did I remember what the post office case was? And the second or third one was, what we'd like to talk about is how one goes about tidying this up or not. I don't even know whether it was tidying it up. It's just, and my entire point was the one case that I did that actually involved the Horizon system relied upon physical accounts, a physical paper trail signed off by the sub-postmaster. And that is the core of what I was saying. In fact, that was probably all I was saying. I didn't receive any papers, I didn't receive any instructions. It was, would like to talk to you about Horizon. Do you still keep physical paper trail of accounts signed by the sub-postmaster? Because that's what I'd suggest you do.
Right.
Maybe a bit of a kind of off-the-record meeting, perhaps?